Welcome back to the Backyard Dynamics podcast with your hosts, Robbie C., Jericho, and Billy G.
Hey guys, today we have our first official guest on our show, Memo.
What's going on? Thanks for having me as your first guest. It's an honor.
There should be an honor. Thank you for being here.
I do feel like
Thanks for showing up and coming on our show.
Yeah, to the listeners, we've known Memo since, what has it been, like 2000, 99?
Yeah, a little bit beforehand, I think.
Like 97, 98.
97, 98, yeah. Actually, before he got here, Jericho and I were talking, and he mentioned that, because I was saying, how do we meet Memo again? It's been so long, but he's one of those guys that's been in the car scene that we've known forever. You got me that job over at RPM, and he mentioned that it was Joel. You were Joel's friend, Lewis's brother.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we ended up meeting at the races, right?
Yeah, I think that's what happened. So I went to high school with Joel, and that's how he introduced me to you guys. And, since then, street races, that's how we met.
Yeah. I think Lewis introduced me to Joel, his brother, and then Joel introduced me to Memo and all the guys from his crew. And then we were just hanging out, and we'd go to the races together and just meet each other up and have fun out there back in the days.
What car did you used to drive?
So first, before I even started street racing, had my Silverado truck. Because if you remember, it was almost any car versus any car. It wasn't really, slowly but surely went imports to domestics. But in the beginning, it was just like whoever you lined up against. So at the time, I had a 98 Silverado, which I still own. And I was going to lower it and stuff like that. But then I started, hanging out with all the import guys. And next thing you know, I had to get an import car.
And that's when the GST came in. Was it GSX?
GSX.
Oh, X.
No, that's true. I think we all started with some car going to the races, and then we noticed everybody at the races was running imports, and we all ended up buying imports at one time or another and started going to the races. But yeah, I remember Memo had the truck, and he would go in the truck, and then I remember when he got his GSX, and that was a nice car. Yeah, Guillermo, you already had your truck.
I had my truck then, yeah. I think, if I remember, I met him before I was even Turbo because they were out of Bonita.
Yeah.
And I was like, hey, there's a bunch of cool kids from Bonita. They just met up with us. And I remember it was a black Silverado, if I remember, or a dark color, right?
No, it was white.
It was white?
Totally
for some reason, I
off.
thought it was black. Maybe that's Armando's Silverado. I'm going to remember somebody, but
Armando's.
Yeah, his was
had
charcoal.
He had a game over sticker on it. And there was a couple of your buddies. And so you were driving that truck for a little bit. It wasn't right away, at least from what I remember. And then you got the GSX. And then I think obviously Turbo. But I became Turbo after that, after we met. So it wasn't right away. Because I remember we drove up to the Taco Bell on 8th Street one time. And I let him drive my truck.
Oh, yeah.
Kind of showed me how to race because I wasn't.
Note to self, don't ever let Jericho drive your truck.
Yeah, hey, straight up, man. I remember that day. If I remember, you redlined every gear. I'm all, is that how you race? I'm like, all right, cool, bet. So I was doing that to my engine for a while too. I'm not sure if it was you or someone told me, he's like, hey, shouldn't redline your
I was expecting it to go faster. That's why.
Right. Yeah, no, it was slow, man.
He did that one. I picked him up from Home Depot one time in my truck before it was turbo. He's like, let me drive it. We're going to one of the Home Depot parties. Same thing, redlined all the way down 8th Street. I'm like, my truck.
Did you let him drive your truck, Memo?
No, I don't think so.
No, I never got. Yeah.
Oh, those were good times.
Yeah, it was. But anyways, Memo, I know you have a ton of stories to talk about, but let's. I got a question. How did you get into cars? What pulled you in?
Shoot, it was my dad, and pretty much ever since I can remember, he was always working on something in the garage. It was more like classic cars, from 50s and 40s to, he had a Jeep, and then he had a C10 76 step side. So, then he would sell car parts at antique, auto swap meets. So I was always around cars, even from when I was in the diaper, Big Three swap meets, Pomona swap meets. So that's what started the passion towards cars, and then it kept evolving since until to now.
Yeah, because I know you're kind of a broad range of cars now. I mean, you're into trucks, cars, lowriders, everything. So I know you have a good background on cars, and I think it's a passion, like you said, for all of us. But yeah, Robert, you got a question?
Yeah, let's talk about Game Over. Who started that?
So my friend Gilbert, rest in peace, Gilbert. He he had a Ford Probe, and actually turned that back around. It was Little Alex. Little Alex had the green Accord and eventually turned to yellow.
I remember that.
So for the people that remember him, so he had this decal that was, the ones you could take and remove with their plastic ones, and it said Game Over. I don't even know where he got it from. And so I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool. We should do like Team Game Over. And sure enough, that's how it started. And
Nice.
and then we're all high school buddies. So then, we got a couple more buddies from high school in the club, and that's how Game Over started.
Nice.
That's awesome.
Quick question, Jericho. How did Triumph start? Because I feel like it was having to do with Wu-Tang, because everything
I think
about
it
you was
did.
Wu-Tang.
If
There was that song. That was like our anthem.
I think it was when that song came out. I was like, damn, I like that song.
Shout
so
out
much.
Wu-Tang.
Yeah, it came out, and then we liked it, and I think we all were playing it in our cars, and it just stuck. One of those things.
I'd race to it.
Yeah.
No, I remember we were all at Jericho's house. He's all, we got to come up with a team name. And Triumph came up. Everybody liked it. Only one guy said, they're going to get us confused with motorcycles, but he was vetoed.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
And we did get confused with motorcycles. Go figure.
Yeah.
No, I'm just.
The cool thing is that you guys all got together, and you were able to come up with something and create something.
Yeah.
And that's what was cool back then is, you start with your friends, then you sit down and say, what can we call ourselves?
Yeah.
So people will recognize us and set ourselves apart from others. And you guys, and something triggered when you heard Wu-Tang, and that was it.
That's funny. That's funny, but it stuck. And back then it was all our friends we were all listening to the same music, and that stuck and made our team. I don't know how long it lasted, maybe a year or two, but we all had those stickers on our cars, and it was cool. It was like representing our group of friends.
Yeah. Memo. So how'd you get over to RPM? I remember one time we just went down there, and you were just right behind the counter like, what's up?
Great question. I must have met somebody, or maybe Cole Sims took me down there because he was getting something done, and I just kind of, I guess, talked to the owner, and the owners, needed somebody behind the desk, and and prior to that, I had some sales in the audio area, or in sales in automotive industry. So, I decided to leave that job and then go into RPM. So I think that's how it kind of just fell in. And then if you're a car guy and you go into a place and, they're fabricating race cars, and they're building some cool stuff for some big names, you're like, hey, I want to be part of this. And I think that's where it just kind of stuck. And, it didn't matter what the pay was. It was just, what you wanted to be part of something that, was pretty cool.
That's true. I still want to do that.
Yeah. No, I remember it was a really fun place to work. You got me in over there. I worked in the front for a little bit. Then I went out in the back to build the roll cages. But I remember we went out full flyers, and we promoted the crap out of RPM at the drag races over at Qualcomm when the Qualcomm first came out. And then we had that huge car show out there. Remember that?
I still have that flyer. Actually, I forgot to bring. I might have it on me, actually.
Oh, if you have it, I'll post it up and put it online so the listeners can see it.
I remember that flyer.
Yeah, but me and Guillermo, we'd go out there, race, and then pass out these flyers and tell people, hey, RPM built our trucks. Come out here, be fast. And then we had that huge car show. And that was fun. RPM was on his way to get big, and unfortunately it didn't. But I remember he did have some big names for building was it custom chassis? I don't remember the names. They were barely getting into the drag racing scene and NHRA.
Yeah,
JDM side.
because his dad had built that brand Rails Performance out of Spring Valley, and his dad was building cars for Pat Musi, which is I forgot what brand, but it's a drag racing car.
Yeah.
And then after that, his dad had a big name, so his dad, I believe, retired, and he took upon it and called it RPM, which is Rails Performance Motorsports.
Yep.
Yeah.
Sorry, the other one was his dad was Willie Rails Race Cars.
Yeah.
And then he took over it and started, reaching out to the people that they have already built. And not only that, but one of the big names that he was building some stuff for was Adam Saratari.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So he was building his NSX for him. And then, that's kind of where he started blowing up. And then obviously the imports, he started growing. And then you have other shops, opening up too, but they weren't doing the type of fabrication he was doing. The only thing he was missing was like your general stuff, tail lights, intakes, exhaust, and the basic stuff to get people in, so they can move on up to the next stage. Would be in roll cages and tracks and stuff like that. So he had something good going there.
Yeah, he did. Too bad I didn't get where it should have been. But
Was that the first job you had in cars to deal with cars? Or was because I remember, what was the other place? Audio Excellence, but was
Yeah.
that afterwards?
Actually, Audio Excellence was second. So RPM was first, and then I went to Audio Excellence.
Oh,
yeah, I remember when you went over there, I used to go there and get a lot of my audio stuff. Got my windows tinted on a few different vehicles I own. Yeah, I used to head out there a lot.
Yeah, they blew up really well because, they knew how to brand themselves. So they bought, really nice cars and put them in front. And we were out and about all the time. So people wanted to, shine. Then that's, when things changed I think in the automotive industry, it went from to the next stage, went from imports now to, the bling bling. And once you moved up to the 20-inch wheel,
yeah.
I remember when 17s were huge, and you had 17s, it was just like, dang.
Yep.
And then at 18, you're like, okay. And then it just bumped to 20. You're like, Jesus, how much bigger can they get? And I think, that was, early, maybe 2001
Yeah.
is when things started changing, and, the music changed, everything changed.
The import scene kind of died off a little.
Yeah.
And I remember.
I remember that H2 with the TV on the hood. That thing was, I used to see it around everywhere. Who owned it?
Both, the owners were George and Gerald.
Yeah.
And they first it just started bagged, wanted to be the first slammed H2, and they did it. And, it was just, they had the branding and marketing right.
Yeah.
We were, out at the clubs, at the joints. We were at, everywhere where we were, had athletes. We had people with, paper bag money, a lot of people coming in, dropping 15, 20 grand cash. Wow. But yeah, they were doing good things. And then, I had to grow. So then I moved on to the off-road industry right after that.
Yeah. And it's so funny you bring that up because ever since street racing, I would see you at the street races. I'd see you in downtown clubbing. I'd see you at Glamis. You were like everywhere I was.
Yeah, well, it shows, if you're a car enthusiast or automotive enthusiast in general, you see your stages, right? You go with, what you're feeling at that moment. In the beginning, it was us street racing and, from trucks to cars to whatever it was. Yeah. And then now the next thing was, was Glamis or Bling Bling and then the clubs, right? When we turned 21, we wanted to see the difference. And then, Glamis started happening maybe mid 2000s.
Yeah.
And I picked up a Banshee and, you start doing desert stuff, and so that you could see how each one of us has evolved.
Yeah.
What was next after Audio Excellence?
I worked at PG Series Trucks in El Cajon. So,
oh yeah, that's right.
So we did we did all the East County lifted trucks, and they were like probably top notch. It's probably one of the best shops that I've ever worked with. The owner, Paul Garrett, he was like a mastermind in branding and marketing, and everybody brought their trucks to PG.
They had it down. I remember wherever you see the license plate, with a frame or the stickers, that you knew that truck was nice, and I remember them.
Yeah, and PG was a big name.
Yeah, and even though it's just a one-man production, I feel like you went to RW and for oil parts, you would go there, but if you wanted to go luxury, builds or whatever, you would go to PG series because it was just it was a different vibe.
Well, it was all custom too, 4-wheel drive and 4-wheel parts and off-road warehouse. They were just mostly bolt on. They didn't get into any custom. It's whatever they can bolt on and get it out because they didn't want to be responsible. And that's how it is even now. But yeah, PG series would cut off, put airbags, lift it up like 12 inches. It was a nice shop. I used to go there a lot too.
Yeah, so we would have like Marshall Falk come in and hang out with us. A lot of athletes, Tony Gwynn Jr. We've done a bunch of trucks from there. So it was for sure was one of the nicest shops and one of the nicest shops I'd ever worked with.
Nice. And then what'd you do after that?
After that, I built so I was clubbing around the time. So it was 2005. So between 2001 and 5, I started clubbing. And so then I started noticing that, there was a need for something. And I was looking at, I came out of a nightclub and I saw this guy, old man, and he was standing next to a limo. I said, well, and now imagine he's old. So he's going to go home, go to his family, and that's all he cares about. But if I start a limo company, I'm out and about. If I shake everybody's hands at the door, then that's going to bring business to me. So sure enough, I went to go buy a Cadillac truck and I had it custom built to my specs. And at the time during that time, I was shaking all the VIP hosts at the doors of the big nightclubs and making sure they remember my name. So I was, dropping them a little extra in their hand. Mm-hmm. And then I started doing, the table services before even there was table service.
Yeah.
I would go to the nightclub and the football players were at the bar. Like there was nobody sitting at the booths.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, slowly but surely, one of my good buddies, Sean Merriman, he started the whole bottle scene thing, and it just trickled on. So then, as my truck was being built, my limo, then I, started, getting table service. So I was always making sure that I was at the table by the bathroom because everybody walks by the bathroom.
Yeah.
So I make sure that everybody shook my hand or said hi or whatever. And yeah, I got to the point where every week, days before before Friday or Saturday, the manager of the VIP host, he'd say, hey, we have your table reserved. Hey, nice. Or they'll be like, you left your bottle from last week, we'll still pour you that one.
Yeah.
And so they would save it. And I mean, it was that was crazy, even more crazy times. Wow. So many stories behind that.
Yeah.
That scene.
Yeah. I remember the whole limo business. How long did you do that for?
For 10 years.
10 years?
Uh-huh.
Nice.
Yeah. That went strong for you then.
Yeah, it was good. Well, again, because of me shaking hands with the right people.
Yeah.
I was driving, music artists, celebrities, football players, baseball players, rappers. I mean, you name it. And obviously the bread and butter is obviously quinceañeras and weddings. But but because I was young and I was willing to hustle, I mean, it pretty much opened the doors to whatever I wanted to.
Yeah. Yeah. Hard work definitely pays off.
Oh yeah,
that's
still
cool.
having to do with cars.
Exactly. So when I made that decision to pick up a limousine, I said, well, what is there in San Diego that what is there not of something as far as limo, or what kind of limo there isn't one? And so then I was the first Escalade truck in San Diego as a limo, and then with the one solid piece glass versus multiple windows.
Yeah.
And so it was all custom made for me. And it was actually, I bought the truck, drove it around for like about 3 months, and then I sent it out to LA to get cut.
Did you still have it?
I do.
Oh,
nice.
Wow. That's awesome.
And then what did you do after the limo business?
The limo business, then I kind of hung around. At the time I was dating this young woman that was into real estate, and I was helping her with her branding and marketing in real estate. And I just kind of was helping her and, bringing her business because I'm more of a people person. So I started talking to everybody. So I brought, a good amount of people to her, which benefited me as well. So then I started really getting into branding and marketing and learning stuff when I started seeing logos of Instagram on, potato chips and stuff like that. I was like, wait a minute, there's something here.
Yeah.
So then I was doing branding and marketing for her. And at the same time, at the side, I was buying and shipping cars from the East Coast and Midwest, anywhere from like 1950s, mainly 60s Impalas. I was shipping them from, New York, Utah, Arizona, wherever I could get Impala stuff. So I was doing the same thing my dad was doing, but at a larger scale. And as soon as the car would get here, it was sold.
Yeah.
So I was getting Impalas left and right. So then it goes into lowriders, right?
Yeah.
You know, I was always a classic cars through my whole life, but now it came back. So now
Yeah.
I had 63 Impala, 64, 62s.
Wow.
And,
And nowadays, I mean, the Impala scene is crazy. The prices, getting them, selling them. I mean, they're buying everything up right now. It's like the '69 Camaros.
Yeah.
They're sold.
Yep.
You won't. Barn finds is no more. They're all sold. Every single Camaro you see out there is paid for already. Impalas are kind of on the same page now. Like you can't find an Impala that's in a barn somewhere unless you're lucky. But yeah,
yeah, well, the internet changed everything. You
Yeah.
know, it changed everything in any automotive industry, but it changed it where now you could literally look up instead of getting an auto trader, you know, back in days, now you're getting your info directly from, you know, the computer instantly. So now you can compare, well, apples to apples, you know, this is what my car's worth because this is what this car's worth. So now obviously it started trickling up. You know, I was buying Impalas anywhere from like 2,000 to 3,000, 4,000, running and driving 6 to 8. You know, and cruisers, and now you can't even find a project. I mean, projects you probably get like 10 grand.
Yeah.
And running and driving projects probably anywhere from 15 to 25.
yeah,
And, you know, I'm just talking 63, 64, but once you go 58 through 61, now you're looking, you know, in the 50s and plus.
yeah,
So, I mean, that goes even with the import scene,
yeah.
you know, or just anything, let's just say anything 80s now and 90s is on fire. So
Yeah.
if you're looking to get something that's in the 80s and 90s, you better pick it up now, because when is the right time to buy? Today.
Yeah.
It's true.
And when
Very
was the
true.
last time? Yesterday.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they're changing daily prices. I mean,
Yeah.
I know these guys are looking to pick up a project car, and
Dude, 90s is following fast too. I've been looking at 90s cars. I'm always looking at cars. I look at all kinds, especially like a GSX, dude. Those things are almost impossible to find now.
I might have something for you.
there you go.
There you go.
There you go.
Don't talk like that. You might scare me.
Yeah, I think you can still find them, but it's gonna, like you said, it's harder and harder.
Yeah.
I think also a lot of like the prices have been artificially inflated, just because before I remember 80s, 90s cars, a lot of cars weren't worth anything, and now you have these cars that people are pricing them at a certain level, but I'm not too sure if everybody's paying that. So I think, like, you know, there's a sucker around every corner. There's someone's gonna do it, but not everybody, and that's when you can take advantage of it. When someone's in need of selling it and you have enough money, you can maybe, you know, strike a bargain. But
Yeah, and I think you could find good stuff out there still. I mean, you could find 90s cars in people's driveways still.
Yeah.
You know, you go to the right neighborhoods, you'll find those now. But like you said, you know, I think at the end of the day, something's only worth what somebody's willing to pay. You know, and with technology and social media, somebody will put a car's worth, you know, they're selling it for 50. So then, you know, the guy around the corner is going to be like, well, I want 50 because that one's 50.
Yep.
Yeah.
But I'll take 45 today, even though you know that my car might not even be worth 20.
yeah,
But at the end of the day, you know, I think the internet kind of inflated everything, and it made it seem, especially I think after 2020, after our you know, our incident that we had throughout the world,
yeah.
I think, you know, people were sitting back with money in their pockets, didn't know what to do, so they were buying up, you know, toys and stuff like that. So then it's like, you know, if he paid that much, then I'm gonna pay $100 more, or 1,000 or 10,000 more, and now that just created a whole new market.
That's true. Very true.
Yeah, remember, a lot more people are earning more money too. There's a lot of youngsters that are out there with money, and you know, they're just paying whatever. Like, even with the houses, you can see it. I was just reading an article. There was like a house in New York that, or some TikTok where the dude was saying, yeah, this house was sold in 2019 or 2020 for like 300. They remodeled it. I think it was like 1.2 million
Wow.
now. Like, damn.
And
But-
then when you go to New York, I mean, you know, talking about real estate, going to New York, I mean, now you're outside of Manhattan. Now you're moving into Brooklyn, and you're moving into Queens and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So those areas that, you know, were not really sought after, you know, in the last, you know, 10, 20 years, and for sure not in the 70s and 80s. Now those are the new locations, just like San Diego.
Yep.
You know, we have a bunch of places like
Yeah.
that as well.
Yeah.
It's all tied to car prices. I'm telling you.
Hey, we got to wrap it back to cars because that's a totally different podcast. Real estate. We can talk about forever on that. But back to cars. I know you owned a lot. Guillermo, how many cars have you owned total before Memo gives his?
I don't remember. Honestly, I'd have to count them in my head. It's like 5, 6, maybe.
What about you, Jericho?
I haven't had that many compared to you. I've had maybe about 6, 7 cars. I tend to keep mine's too long.
Yeah.
Too long.
I had like, I don't know, 18 to 21. And then I know Memo's probably like at 50, 75.
Currently I have 12. I'm down to 12. So if I had to guess, including, classic cars, I'm probably close to at least, including what I have today, like maybe 30, 35.
Wow. What was your favorite?
It's, if you're a car enthusiast, it's a hard question to ask.
Yeah.
But because they're all so special and they're all so unique. I mean, lately, my favorite car has been my Land Cruiser. But as far as overall, as far as something that I do miss is my 63 Impala Super Sport.
Yeah.
That's my favorite year too, man. The 63. That's like one of the ultimates, but I won't buy it out of fear of FOMO. I refuse to.
Yeah. Cool. Well, what's up with the Land Cruiser? What you got done to it?
That one I bought all stock from a guy in Spring Valley. He got an offer up. I always get lucky on offer up. I got an offer up. He was offering $9,500, but it didn't sell, so he dropped it down to $7,500. At the time, I didn't have toy money, so I went over there. I had about $1,000. He wanted $7,500. I said, hey, I'll give you $1,000. Just hold it for me for 30 days. If I don't come back, you could keep my $1,000. He's on, no worries. Firefighter dude, true to his word. And I came back a month later, paid the $6,500, and I got a Land Cruiser with 205,000 miles, 1998. 98 has the factory rear electronic lockers and the center locker. So, he was like, well, the paint and this and the seats are a little ripped. I'm like, dude, it's a Toyota. It doesn't matter what it is, as long as there's maintenance work done to it, I'm in. So, yeah, got into off-roading, or for those new school people, overlanding. Right? It's a similar thing. But, 98 Land Cruiser. Now it's, lifted on Icon, shocks, and has sway-away torsion bars. It has SPC upper control arms. It has upper and lower rear trailing arms from Trail Teller. It has full skid plates underneath. It has snorkel. It has full power to the back. Onboard fridge. It has roof rack lights around all the front, rear, back, underneath. What else? I mean, pretty much I could. The only thing and it has a shower and an awning too. Nice. So the only thing I don't have, the only thing if some stuff goes down in this world, the only thing I have to worry about is water and gas.
Yeah.
And then we could hunt our food, right? But I pretty much made it, during 2020 when everybody was locked down.
What year did you buy it in?
2019, December. 2019? So right before it. So that's why 7,500 was a good deal, and I didn't even fight it. Shortly after that, then they started moving up to 10 and 15 and 20.
Yeah, about 5 years ago, a lot of those, the Lexus version, was it the LX 470, and the 4Runner version, what's that one? The GX 450. They were going for like $5,000.
Yeah.
They were like anywhere $5,000, give or take a few thousand. They weren't that expensive. Full leather interior. I almost bought one. Yeah. I ended up buying a solid axle GMC instead. But they're nice. They're super luxury. They're plush. They're really smooth rides. Now you try to buy one, they're like $20,000.
Yeah. They're the Toyota holds their value a little more than Lexus. So the Lexus guys, they get them because they get them for a little better deal. Same thing, same vehicle, just, different, leathers and in wood grains and, different little features. But they pretty much, put a sticker on there saying basically it's a Land Cruiser.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, even you're talking about the GXs. I mean, they're small vehicles, but they have V8s. So
yeah.
Just, I mean, going back to evolving to another automotive scene now into the overlanding and off-roading and
yeah. The only thing I don't like about them is that they're all-wheel drive models. You can't get them just two-wheel drive, so that's why they got that center locker. But yeah, definitely a nice car, dude. That was a good find.
Yeah, I scored, especially because we were all locked down. Oh, we were told to be locked down. I was out in the mountains.
Oh, so was I. I was federal land. We were at Superstition almost every weekend.
Yeah.
And there was no one out there, so we're just out there hanging out, camping, running those mountains.
Yeah, so that's why I feel like I didn't go a little crazy because
Yeah.
I was out and about, and actually it was actually one of the best things that I've ever purchased when I say that because it allows us to explore. You know, I say Earth.
Yeah.
Have you done any major trails?
There's depending on what major trails you mean, but like
Besides Ocotillo Wells and Enza Borrego, like have you went out to Mojave Trail?
I done Mojave Road, so that's about 160 miles.
Oh, so from Laughlin to Barstow?
All the way
Yeah.
across. I've done that.
Yeah, that's nice.
3 times. I've done Lake Tahoe area. I didn't do Rubicon, but I was on Rubicon Road.
Yeah.
I've done Valley of the Moon locally. I mean, I've done a bunch of truck trails. I just did something this weekend in Idlewild too. So
Nice.
I was out like 2-3 times a month for the last couple of years.
Yeah. Sometimes I was out almost every weekend. Same thing done Mojave. Like I think probably like the last time we did it with Jericho and some other guys, it was like my 5th time.
Yeah.
There's some places I want to go. I definitely want to go to Coyote Flats. That's like top on my list.
Mm-hmm.
Moab. The only thing I'm just worried about driving like 14 hours up there. Not worried on my car. Just it's a long ass drive.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we're gonna be doing Valley of the Moon in a few weeks. If you want to come along.
Cool. Let me know. I mean, that's probably one of my favorite trails here in San Diego.
Yeah.
You have a little bit of everything. I mean, you got some crazy views if you haven't been there. I mean, and it's not too far, it's maybe an hour or so away.
Yeah.
So it's probably, if I tell people if you want to test your vehicle, there's probably one of the nicest trails that you could go to.
Yeah. Especially since they started closing a lot of things down at Old Time Mountain Truck Trail. A lot of those side shots got closed up, and it's starting to become just a single fire road. Kind of a little sad, but Valley Moon is really nice.
Yeah. No, it's one of my favorite ones here in San Diego.
What about you, Guillermo? You have any questions?
No, man. I'm just listening and soaking it all in because I'm kind of envious. I did miss out on that, like during lockdown. I didn't go off-roading much. I ended up buying a bike, doing that, little dirt trails on my mountain bike. Yeah, I just did a bunch of push-ups and squats, and that's pretty much all I was doing.
I can tell. Look at that.
Now I gained some weight back, but I got to get back on it.
Just a couple years ago when your baby was small, you look like a little twig.
Yeah, man, I was heavy, bro, and that's literally what got me moving. I was like, all right, we got to get on the bicycle, but and at the same time, I traded my truck, which I have a Tacoma 4x4, 2013. I traded my dad for his RAV4 because it was the Tacoma was really bouncy, the suspension. So a newborn, I was just thinking, dude, you like have shaken baby syndrome, just driving from the hospital. So we switched it up, and the RAV4, I'm not gonna lie to you, I really like it. But I was just talking to Robbie about trading it back to my pops, and I told my pops, like, hey man, I can get my truck back now. The baby's old enough because he loved it. I mean, imagine like 5'4" Mexican driving a Tacoma. He feels all big like in El Rancho. But yeah, so I'm gonna get that back. And then I was literally just asking these guys if I should get a camper, which I was basically asking myself. I just needed some positive reinforcement. So that's what I'm gonna do.
So are you getting the camper? Or?
Yeah, I am gonna get a camper for sure. I need it. You know, even if I want to throw like the bike in the back and go camping or do something like that with the family.
You can set them up now with the racks and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, there's a lot of options for it now.
Yeah.
And so I actually think it worked out for you because you got, active, if you got a mountain bike or a bike, and now at least you're able to get your truck back, because your dad has it. So I think now you're opening up a new door, a new chapter in life, and you could share with your family.
Yeah.
Now, and that's something I think we're missing in today's world, being in the outdoors from a lot of people, not ourselves or in general, but just in, everybody else. I think you're opening up a cool new chapter, and that your kids will never forget.
That's true. Because I don't go nowhere near as much as Robbie goes to off-roading events or off-roading. He's out there every weekend almost, and we all got together last year and did the Mojave Trail, and I want to say how many. It was like maybe 15 vehicles. And we split it up.
No,
into
it was 14.
Groups.
We split up into 2 groups. So pretty much our friend group was with us, plus
plus my cousin's
your wife's cousin.
They're in a race team together, and they do this as as fun, and they all have Jeeps, like hooked up Jeeps. It was mainly Jeeps. There was a couple.
No, it was only
trucks.
a few Jeeps. Some guy was there in was it a Ranger
Chevy.
or a GMC diesel?
That Chevy. It was a Chevy truck.
Yeah.
And it was a 4x4 diesel. It was nice.
Okay, so it was a Chevy, yeah. And there was only like 2 Jeeps. The rest were like trucks and SUVs. Oh no, I guess Armando's a Jeep.
and Renee's,
and Renee's Jeep.
and then plus all the other ones. There's like
Yeah.
3 or 4 Jeeps over there.
And
But anyways, we went on that trip. I invited Robert because I know he's all into the ORV scene and he's good at it. So I said, hey, you want to go out with my cousin and his friends? And we got a group of our friends together. And man, that trip, you know, I talk about it at least once a week. It's just so awesome. I mean, the first night
the views are amazing,
the
dude.
views, the trails. I mean, we were driving for miles straight on a dirt road with nothing around, and it was amazing.
My favorite is coming down the first hill, and you see the trail go down, and then it comes back up on the other side, and it just looks like a straight line, just right up the other side,
Yes.
like rolling mountains.
I got good pictures from that, and yeah, it's. I mean, we each one of us took our own truck. I actually took my wife's FJ. My brother took his Raptor. Robert took his Toyota. Armando and Renee took their cars, and it was one guy in each car, so we didn't have anyone to talk to. But we were driving for hours, and it was just like mind relaxing. You know, it was so nice. I mean, stress was out the window. Your phone wasn't going off. You put some good music on and just cruise. And I tell you what, like, it's an experience. I mean, I really loved it.
Yeah, you mentioned about all that driving. There's a lot of guys that don't like driving. Even well, I do commercial HVAC with Jericho, and we got some service techs. They just hate driving. I'm like, how do you hate driving? I love cars. I love driving. I'll drive any car, at least once. Just the feel of it. The Prius. I drove that. I wouldn't buy one, but it was nice experience. But
I just think some people love cars and some people don't. And
Yeah.
if you love cars, you appreciate all cars, even if it's not
Very true.
something that you would buy.
yeah,
But you appreciate all cars. So, from a Prius to whatever you have, right?
Yeah.
It's funny you say that, because that's when I tell my wife, dude, that car looks nice. Like, I can appreciate it. You'd buy that? I was like, no, I wouldn't own it. Don't get me wrong. But I appreciate it. Like, dude, that's actually a really nice, well-kept vehicle. Like, I can appreciate the color, all the effort they put into it. So it's funny that you bring that up, because it's true.
Yeah,
If you're a car
it's-
person?
it's like British cars. Like, I like Mini Coopers and Discoveries. Would I buy one? No, but I think they look cool, and I wouldn't mind driving one just for a little bit. But that's it.
And I think that's what makes, people like us special, or at least in the automotive industry,
I'm
because
special.
we could appreciate any vehicle, right? Any make, model, year, location, wherever it is. You're like, wow. Like, if you go to another country, you're like, what car is that? We don't see that in the States.
Oh
But,
yeah, dude.
you're like, but I appreciate it because that's their workhorse, or that's their, luxury,
true.
or that's their daily drivers.
Especially living in the border town, you get to see those Suzukis that aren't available over here, like the Jimmys.
Jiminy's?
Yeah, I've seen some with Baja plates.
Yeah, those things are badass.
Yeah, you see old Rangers that are 4-doors that are from Mexico.
Yeah. Toyota
Yeah.
Helixes.
The Toyota Hilux.
Mitsubishis?
Yeah,
Wow. Mitsubishi.
Troopers?
yeah. I see
Huge,
some of
man.
that.
For people in El Monte down in South.
Yeah.
Families,
A Renault.
They like those.
A Renault. You
Yeah.
don't see
Dude, a
those in
buddy
the
of mine
States.
lives in northern Idaho. Hi, Steven. He tells me all the time he sees right-hand drive diesel Land Cruisers, pickup trucks, a Hilux with a 4-door, and he sends me advertisements. They sell them. They're like $3,000 to $5,000,
Yeah.
and I just gotta ship them down. But he says,
or just get it registered there, right? And then
yeah,
you just
that's
get-
what he told me. He's like, register up here in Idaho. You don't have to worry about it. I'm like, I don't know, man. That's when a cop sees a car that they see all the time and has different plates, and they're like, wait a minute, I see this thing all the time. Then you start running into things.
I guess you could, but
Good question.
at the end of the day, unless you're doing something wrong, they're not going to pull you over.
Yeah.
Unless they're like patrolling or they're on a special mission to remove some cars.
Yeah.
Then for the most part, I talked to an officer and he said that, as long as they're not doing nothing wrong, I'm not going to, mess with them, because we do see a lot of, Japanese cars that have plates from different states. And, as long as you're not doing nothing wrong, I think you're pretty
Yeah.
much good.
And they're not
Radiator
dumb.
cooler,
They
all the
know.
Telltales.
They know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they know. But again, it's like back in the days. If you're doing some knucklehead stuff, then
Yeah.
it gives them more of a reason to pull you over. But I think now those same people that are in police, they're officers now. They grew up with Fast and the Furious. They grew up with these
Yeah.
racing.
They're
so they,
car enthusiasts themselves.
yeah, or they had a Toyota MR2 or a Toyota truck or an Eclipse, and it brings flashbacks, right?
Yeah.
Like just like people, our parents, they look at 50s and 60s, they're like,
Very
"Mijo, I had one of those."
Yep.
And I give it to my brother, or I sold it for $100.
It's always the same story. Do you think that really happened or no?
I
But that's
know.
how cheap they were back.
I
in the
know a
day.
guy that gave
They were
away
actually
his
really cheap.
supercharged MR2 to his cousin.
What a dumbass. Give it away,
I'm telling you, it happens. But you know what? Hopefully that cousin still has it. If he doesn't, then
bro.
then I don't want. I don't want to
Bro.
know.
you're gonna make him
man.
cry.
Shots fired.
You're gonna make him cry. Hey,
Well, I have a question for you guys, actually.
Yeah, what's up?
All right, so turning it back around, like,
yeah.
what is your favorite car
Ooh.
Ooh, my
that you've
favorite car
owned?
that I've owned. Oh, the pickup, dude. Hands down, the pickup. Like that was one of my absolute favorites. And then the Tacoma, the recent one, was like the flip side, like the newer, still silver, but now it's 4x4.
Oh yeah, huh?
Yeah,
Was
Silver.
your two-door truck, the Toyota truck, it was silver?
silver.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bro, I remember that truck. I remember you guys like vaguely, but I remember you guys like turbocharging these trucks, dude. And I was just like, yo, that's crazy.
Yeah.
And, trying to hold all that, that power down compared to stock, because it was just lighting them up. And then I remember one story. I won't get too much into details, but I remember you're like, yeah, we would get our turbos, from the junkyards, and whoop-de-woo, all of a sudden, next thing you know, the turbos are on the other side of the fence, and now we are turbocharged.
Yeah,
And-
anything said here is hearsay.
I mean, that's what I remember. I could be
Yeah.
lying though. I'm 43 now,
Facts.
Who knows?
but I do remember. I remember you got your silver truck, man. That shit was dope.
No, I'll speak to it, man. So yeah, we go to junkyard, we take off the parts, and when we were walking to go pay, we trip and they fly out of our hands.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh.
And somehow just roll down the hill on the other side. Someone said that they would splash what is it, radiator fluid.
Oh,
It was
yeah. Like a water pump.
a water pump. I don't know how true that was, but
Yeah.
that's pretty funny if you got away with that.
But again, it's going back to like you were younger, so like you had to do what you
Yeah.
had. My story's a little different. I was fortunate to have a cool ass mom, single mom, worked hard, and so my stories were different. But I still could vibe with everybody, that were in the car scene. From people, turbocharging the trucks randomly,
Yeah.
But yet, I didn't allow what I had and where I came from affect me and connecting with other people and and being
Yeah.
easily
Yeah.
could have been a dick.
Facts, facts. Because yeah, that's what we would like. Dude, Bonita kids, those are rich kids to us.
I remember that.
But y'all would hang out and be cool with us. And like I said, we go
They
to
would hang out.
that
Yeah.
Taco Bell, eat some burritos, hang out, go
We
to
would
the
all
races,
hang out and go to the
come
races.
through. Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. Like these kids were cool and they accepted us. They weren't like, oh, who are these kids from National City? So
Yeah, and San Diego, even though it's pretty big, it's still a small town. So driving around, you just see Memo on the car, like, hey,
Yo, Sim-
peace sign.
bro, so that was gonna bring me back. So we've seen you everywhere, bro. And I remember I was like, first time seeing you, and obviously you didn't have a big part, but you were in Fast and Furious. Like, oh shoot, that's
Oh,
Memo.
yeah.
And I just remember him saying like bobbing his head or something, just like a quick scene. But I was like, dude, that's him.
That's
And I don't even remember if your car was in it, but I'm assuming your car was
No. Wasn't
somewhere
it Cole's car?
in the background or somewhere. 'Cause
Yeah, so I was in Fast and the Furious Part 1. I was part of Hector's gang. So
the OG. The OG
I
one.
didn't get speaking roles, but I did get part of Hector's crew. So I was part of SAG. So I got paid a little bit more than just extras.
Nice.
At the time, right before Fast and the Furious was filming, all the body kits and hot import night stuff. So after the street races, stuff was getting shut down. I kind of got tired of getting chased or having to watch my back from doing bad stuff from police. So I decided to get a body kit, and my car was in the shop. When I received the phone call, so I signed up at a car show, and the car show said, "Hey, we're filming a movie. Want to be part of it?" Took a picture. They called me a month later, and they say, "Hey, we want you to come out to LA and be part of this movie." And I said, hell yeah. So at the time, my car was at the body shop at Chewy's Auto Body
Chewy.
off of Home. It was there. So I was like, shit, I don't have a car. So then at the time, I was part of Total Eclipse and I had a couple options. So then I reached out first and foremost was to, I blanked on his name, but it was a blue GST from RPM. And it had a full Grady kit and stuff like that. He let me use his car for one of the scenes. And then after that, he, kind of wanted his car back. So then I reached out to another buddy that had an RS with the full kit on it, and it was yellow. And that's what I used to film in LA. So yeah, I was in there. I was filming for about a month. just a couple scenes, but I do come out in about 6-7 scenes,
Yeah.
either in the background and stuff like that. But yeah, it was another opportunity that was created. We
Yeah.
talked about, the RPM. How did I get there? How did I get to the PG series? How did I get to,
Yeah.
doing limo service, and how did I get to Fast and the Furious? Is, I think if we all put ourselves in the right position where we want to be, I think, and not allow anything to hold us back, I think you could pretty much get anywhere you want.
Yeah.
And
So
it's
are you
like-
going to come out with a new one?
No, unfortunately, I don't think unless they bring back Hector, I don't think I will. But
Yeah, that's true. He's
I'm
not in the
surprised why they
movies
don't
no
bring
more.
him back.
I think it's almost not part of society nowadays to
Yeah.
maybe put Mexicans in cholos now.
Yeah.
So maybe that could be it, but who knows?
wow.
Or maybe they just don't think he fits into.
It'll make a comeback.
Yeah.
Because you got that show, something like Fools, or there's all kinds of stuff on Hulu now.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Well, now there's more opportunity aside from just movies. So
Yeah.
before you were on the big networks, TV networks, or you were in the big movies. Now you have YouTube and Netflix, so you could create your own stuff. So now, I mean, it's endless. But
And I mean, he's still working. You see him in films, so it's like, But I think the Fast and the Furious movies kind of took off to another route
Yeah.
where they're more,
It's an international spy movie now.
Yeah. So,
it's
but
kinda
again,
cool.
it goes back to what are people willing to pay. So if you go watch part 5 and you pay for it and everybody else paid for it, then they're going to make a part 6 similar or even more,
Yeah.
That's true.
more bigger.
That's true.
And so guess what? There's 10 or 10 of them.
even
So we're the general public is the cause of that.
is
Yeah.
what drew it to be.
What was your favorite one?
One.
One?
Always.
I don't
me
think
too.
I've ever seen. I don't think I've seen 5 through 10.
I like 3, the Tokyo Drift.
That one's cool.
That one's cool. 1 was good. 2 kind of,
Yeah, I
but-
think 1 and 3 are the best ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it really touched base on what the scene was.
And it pinned it down pretty correct. Now here's a question I got on that. I just watched a YouTube video the other day of some guys podcasting, and they swear up and down the street that Fast and the Furious was based off the East Coast, based off New York City races, and I was like,
No way.
hell no.
No, it wasn't.
Hell no.
No,
That
what-
was based out of California and LA scene, San Diego scene.
I think just in general racing, to be honest, because I think every big city had their own underground racing scene. In New York,
Yeah.
they weren't sleeping either. They've been on it for a while too.
Yeah.
LA, San Diego was a sleeper town. It's like if we could say,
Yeah,
probably based off
I'm
San
not-
Diego or something.
Yeah, I'm
but-
talking about the movie and the style of cars. the
Oh,
race.
yeah. It was
That-
based off of Billy G.
That's all stuff that was West Coast. The JDM scene, that all came out of LA.
Yeah, it for sure. I mean, again, everybody has their part in every car scene or
Yeah.
car scenes, but I think that was all West Coast. I
Yeah.
mean, I was there. I mean, when they were filming the movie, they were scouting and using the actors going to street races in California. They weren't
Yeah.
going to races in New York.
Yeah.
Maybe they might have some type of influence on the racing scene, which I mean everybody does. But the import scene was the biggest was West Coast, and
Yeah.
East Coast had their Nopi finals and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But it was a whole different vibe. It was it was just different. But it was SoCal. I wouldn't even say NorCal. I would probably say LA, San Diego.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. I mean,
Agree.
I think
Do you agree?
Agree.
concur, right?
Yeah.
Concur.
But yeah, no, just
But talking about street races, no mean to interrupt, but
Yeah.
tell us a story that you remember.
She.
One that just stands out. I mean, you've heard our previous podcast, right? So
Yeah.
we've all, the three of us, told us our like standout story.
So GSX, was still no body kit, no nothing, just all black. I was 20 years old. It was right before, filming the movie. Yeah, I was dating this older girl. She was with me. We went to the street races.
The Dones.
We went to Miramar Road. So behind the pyramid.
Trade Street.
Yeah, Trace Street. And so, I was out there, I was pretty much, again, we could go far back, but, the mods were a lot different back then than
Yeah.
they were. I mean, there were a lot of bolt-ons, unless you went heavy motor stuff. There were, we didn't do that stuff. I mean, especially we didn't have the money.
Yeah.
for that.
Sure.
But anyway, so I'm at the street races and I'm there with Chad. I don't know if you remember Chad. He was another guy, tall white dude.
What do you drive?
GSX, black one.
Oh,
And his was built, you know. And he's all, oh, he looked at this guy with the Mustang. He's like, dude, my buddy Memo could beat you, right? And
Sign you up.
because he's all, I don't want to waste my time because he, you know, at the
He
time
was fast,
back in the days. It doesn't matter if you had a lot of horsepower. If you had all-wheel drive and you could get the launch off of it,
yeah.
you were done because I mean,
True.
all that horsepower didn't mean nothing if you can't put it on the floor.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, you know, and so I'm up against this Mustang and facing south, and he pulls on me, right? And I'm like, oh, dang, right? And so then he's like, let's go again. I'm like, all right. So then I did it again. He pulls on me again, right? Because I have only a couple mods, you know, but it's all right. So then this cop comes in front of us, and then I'm like, oh, snap. So I'm thinking he's going to go after him because he, you know, he beat me. And so I made a left into the warehouses, and next thing you know, I see the lights behind me. So then you shouldn't be doing this. So, you know, I had to, you know, disappear. And next thing you know, I was in opposite lanes and everybody was scrambling. And next thing you know, I'm on Miramar Road. I don't see the cop, and I try to pull into a parking lot to hide the car.
Yeah.
And the brakes were so hot that I didn't stop. So I crashed into a little wood stub in the entrance, and the car fell on top of the wood stub and it got stuck. So I couldn't back out. So turn off my lights, you know, turn off the car and kind of let the dust settle because it was in the dirt. And then next thing you know, you see a cop pull around, and then he busts a U-turn to go find out what's happening. Luckily, he didn't see me stuck there.
Wow.
And so then I had some guys help me. They saw me, helped me lift it up, and we got it out and we parked it in the back, took off all the stickers, you know, that, you know, game over or were total eclipse at that time. And then just stashed it there. And then I forgot to mention that the girl I was dating, she was there, and I left her behind. So she was very upset.
I'm telling you, man, when the cops get there, you leave everything behind. Because I did that the first time. I left my truck. I hopped in someone else's car. I was a kid. I was like, I'm not trying to get arrested.
Yeah. So I'm like, luckily there was friends there, but she didn't think that was pretty funny.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
But
Kind of
She
cool.
didn't laugh over a burrito at the end of the night.
Well, that's I think if it wasn't for that relationship, I think I would have kept possibly moving into acting. Not saying that I'm an actor, but
She cock blocked you.
Yeah, she pretty much said, you ain't no Tom Cruise, because she saw some of the scenes, and you know.
I think you're Tom Cruise, the Mexican version.
There you go. Memo Cruise, right?
You let that affect you. You let that kind of hold you down. Did that sit on you?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, at that age, you're like, man, you know, you've probably been brokenhearted once or twice, but this is an older woman. You just want to do right, and you're like, you know, you're in the L word. I don't even say the L word. That's how bad it is because of this girl. But I mean, it held me back because I didn't want to, you know, affect our relationship. And you know, when I was doing the filming, you know, I was able to connect with a lot of the actors. Just like, you know, anything else I do, I just, you know, network, shake people's hands, make sure that people recognize me or know me, or, you know, make an impact in somebody's life. I think I would have, you know, been in somewhat form. In
you would have been in part 10, dude.
I hope. Bro, I don't.
You would have taken Vin Diesel's spot.
I wish. I would at least take Jesse's spot, right?
There you go. Yeah.
But I'll take Vin Diesel's any day. He's not that big. Just kidding.
So, question, I know, so these stories are hearsay just in case anyone was listening, but I know you said you ran from the cops at that time. Did you ever run from the cops?
I never had to.
Okay. What about you?
Couple times. Not just in street racing.
Oh, dang.
But
we did run from some people before.
What?
There was an interesting night.
Oh, man. Street racing, though. Street racing.
Not street racing.
Street racing.
Yeah.
Street racing, yes. Remember one time. Let me see. Well, at the races, I mean.
Yeah, at the races, you know, when they would show up, you have to, like,
there was,
out.
Like a story that they were chasing my car. Probably not. Not like that they were directly chasing me and I got away type of deal. Nah. But I know one time me and you were racing on Sweetwater Road in front of Sweetwater, and we got pulled over. You got pulled over.
I took over. Off. You know what? I remember that. Dude. He's like, "Where you going?" I'm going to my friend's house. He's like, "Which friend?" He lives right there on 4th, man. Like I said, he's like, "I'm not gonna give you a ticket for for going. I don't know. We're going.
Dude,
fast.
we were going like 80.
Fast.
in
Yeah, bro. In
front of
like a
Sweetwater
25
High
mile
School.
hour zone, and the cop was like, "Honestly, dude, he's I'm almost off work. He's I don't want to arrest you. Just what were you doing? Were you racist?" I said, "No, dude. We're going to my friend's house. Whatever." He's all okay. Where's your friend live at then? I go, he lives on. I forgot what street you live on. Was it 2nd or 4th?
5th.
I go, I'm like literally heading over there right now. I promise. He's all, and then he's on the radio. Yeah, other vehicles on 75th. I'm like, oh shit. I'm like, all right, well, whatever, like, I don't think they're gonna do anything.
They went to my house.
Did you get a speeding ticket for that?
They went to my house and I got a ticket.
For how many miles per hour though? Because you gave me 5 miles per hour over the speed limit.
Dude, I don't remember.
It was-
but
it was like that,
I got
bro.
a ticket, dude. I swear.
I was 16, dude.
It's so funny you brought that up. It's so funny, dude. I was like,
I think we all have some stories like that.
No, dude, but
no,
we
'cause-
didn't, I don't remember if we got chased or not. I don't think that was a chase. It was just
no.
like,
What happened was
he busted a U-turn, right?
we started racing.
We're
I
being
want to
dumbasses.
say, yeah, we were racing at the light on Highland, going down Sweetwater, kind of towards a mile of cars, and I don't know where the cop popped out from.
I think they
But-
busted a U-turn because we're on National City Boulevard when I got pulled over.
Yeah, I think you're right. And
And
then
so-
I saw the cop turn on his lights. I made a right on Sweetwater, and I took off. I remember I gunned it, took off down D Street, and I was hauling ass. And I saw the cop go the other way, and I was like, yes, I'm
Yeah.
clear. I went home.
So I got pulled
And
over that time.
You got pulled over, and I'd say about half hour later, the cops are knocking on my
And I still
door,
went to
dude.
your house.
Oh, yeah, he went right
I still went
afterwards.
to. I was like,
Right
dude,
afterwards.
I'm telling the cop. I'm being honest. Like, dude, I swear I'm just going to my
Were
friend's
the
house.
cops there when you showed up?
They might have been there, dude.
And I remember they gave me a ticket. They're like, yeah, we got you. And they, honestly, they probably couldn't give me a ticket, but back then they're like, there's no
No,
cameras there.
he knew we were going fast. Like
Yeah.
he said, you guys
He goes,
are on
I
ass.
got this for you. And
He's all, but I'm gonna give it to you for 5
Dude.
miles over speed limit. He's
Yeah.
all, no more. Just
yeah,
like that.
I think it was something like that.
So he was being cool, and that was like a cop realizing, okay, this kid's dumb. Like he's not being the troublemaker or anything. It was just
yeah.
because it wasn't like we were cutting in
We were like
traffic
18.
either.
I was like 18.
I was 16.
You were
bro.
young.
I was
Yeah,
kid.
like
I was a kid
18.
because I had to go to juvenile court.
Oh, shit.
And same
Yeah.
thing, ticket. Oh yeah, no worries. Just take this class. We'll expunge that. And then,
Dude,
but
that's so funny.
what-
Brought
a
up-
ticket.
well, the reason
It's
why
so
I bring
funny
that
you
up,
brought up that story, or he asked that question, and I'm thinking to myself, yeah, that one, oh shit, it was you.
so the one time I did get chased was after I went turbo. It was on Kearney Via Road, and that's when I was fast. So I did another time at a trade place, but I didn't get chased. I just literally got pulled over right there. But it was on Kearney Via afterwards, and I remember I was up in the line, and I took off, and kid you not, dude, see the lights. Everybody starts taking off. But the cop was way at the end. I remember I hauled ass. I turned off my lights. I coasted it. And I pulled to the left real quick. And I don't know if there was cars coming. I backed up to the ramp.
Mm-hmm.
And I just parked there. And I remember just like a few seconds later, vroom, cop with the lights. I was like, oh shit. Oh shit. Literally went behind them, see him go up. I don't remember if he busted a U-turn or busted a left. But I just went onto, I think it ends up Miramar Road. Made it right. I'm all right. It's time to go home. That's it. Cut it out. But
Yeah,
it was serious, man.
that's funny.
It's scary. I got
remember.
pulled over a bunch of times. I mean, I must have gotten like 4 or 5 tickets when I was young, and not all of them were points. I think at one point I had like 3 points or 2 points on my record, and then I remember I had a speed contest ticket. I had like speeding, something about one time I got caught peeling out. I was just doing a burnout at the light, and the cop just pulled up like 3 cars behind me. I didn't see him, and it was intent to compete or something. Some
Yeah.
weird ticket. I don't remember, but yeah. And then later on, I stopped getting tickets.
Yeah, I only ever got that one ticket in the Prelude on the way to Hot Import Nights. That was it. I kind of got lucky with that. I'm surprised too because there was some dumb stuff we used to do.
Yeah, I mean, and a lot of stuff that that wasn't documented. But you were talking about, we talked about the streets that we drag racing in, and I still have a lot of those videos.
Do you?
Yeah.
Oh, dude, I'd like to see some.
They're at my mom's house, so I mean, I don't know if I could put them out on the internet,
Yeah.
But yeah, I still have because I used to carry my camcorder and everything. So before I started documenting, now
Yeah.
I was documenting then. So yeah, there's a lot
Wow.
of footage, at my mom's house.
I still gotta look at to see that footage I have. I don't know what it is.
I gotta find.
Yeah, you could definitely show mine because if there was someone that looked like me, that was my twin. He moved out of Mexico now.
Yeah. I'll just blur people's
It's
faces out
definitely
on
not
the
me,
plates.
but he would race
Yeah.
for me.
Well, we're at an hour mark, so let's wrap up, and we'll continue with part 2 later. You got any last words you guys want to say?
Don't street race. Do it at a track. And watch out for cops.
Just like little gems that Memo dropped today. Be open to things that come your way. Don't shut yourself out. I have an idea for you, man. Something that I was telling my wife that I haven't seen in San Diego. Lowrider limos.
Yep.
To demand. But yeah, stay safe out there. Keep enjoying your motorsports, and hit us up. BYD Dynamics. Tell us your stories. If we choose you, we'll go ahead and reach out to you and have you on as a guest.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks for listening, guys. We appreciate it. Oh,
Memo didn't want to close.
you want to say something, Memo?
No, man, I appreciate you guys having me, and it's always great to, talk to people that, it's been around since as long as I have in this car scene and just in general, man. It's good to see, a couple of you that I haven't seen in, 10 plus years or more, and just, sharing our stories and, what we did back then was not right sometimes. So don't do what we did, follow all rules and regulations, but still enjoy, the car scene, and enjoy your vehicles and, respect everything, yourself, your cars and others.
Nice.
Cool. Some good words to hear. All right. Thanks, guys.